And it kind of got to a point where I thought, and I could see my partner, who was also filming, on the track that we should be on. And I was like, maybe we should just check the maps right now, just to make sure that we're not, going too far off. And then we sort of did an about turn and then sort of went back.
Hello and welcome to Kendal Mountain Festival, and I'm delighted to sit here with Frit Tam and Fredi Chahan. I hope I've said that correctly.
Yes.
It's a real honour to be with you and having a little chat. I know you've been having a busy day, but maybe you could share with us what your story is at the festival this year, what you've been working together on, and just to give everybody at home a little insight into current projects. And I know you've obviously had a lot of success with film at Kendal before, a very popular filmmaker. So Frit, maybe you could start.
Sure. Yeah, thank you. That's just, the super kind introduction there. I've definitely had just felt like I've had a lot of support from Kendal. So it's just really lovely to be here with yet another film. Which,
remind us of the title,
yeah,
please.
So the film is called The Pennine Way.
Yeah.
And it's a film that stars Fredi and Chahan here about her hike along the Pennine Way.
Yep.
But what's really interesting about Fredi's story is that I really gravitated towards was that Fredi really didn't have very much hiking experience before doing the hike, and set herself this challenge for various different reasons, which she'll probably talk about. And then what was also really great about it was that Fredi was also learning about all the kit that you might need for a long distance hike like this. Fredi didn't own any of this stuff before.
Yeah.
Her own sort of personal experiences of what it's like to be on a long distance hike like the Pennine Way and to see these landscapes that Fredi hadn't seen before. You know, the film starts with a snippet of Fredi saying that she wants to be blown away by the landscapes, and that other people who have done something like the Pennine Way have said to her, this is going to blow you away, and she's like, I want to be blown away. Physically and metaphorically.
Yes. I guess, yeah.
Definitely.
I've never done congratulations, by the way, Fredi, I've never done that, but how did you both meet? How did you get in touch with Frit? What was the story behind that?
I applied for a grant from Adventure Queens and I was successful.
Yeah.
And then Fritz contacted me and said, I wondered if I could just interview you and talk to you about you and what you're going to do, and it was very vague, but I'm going on holiday, but I'll contact you when. And I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. Because I over the years, because I've done things which aren't traditionally a woman's job. For example, I was a gas engineer, I was a plumber.
Right.
So, I just thought, and I was a football coach at the time. And I think it started with you. And I thought, being the only girl out of all brothers, I just copied them, you see. Anything they did, I wanted to do. And so Fritz came into that category, whatever. And but Fritzy contacted me and said, can we talk? And at that point I was planning the Pennine Way, and I wanted a challenge. I'd not long lost my mother. I was on 0-hour contracts at work. They was like, well, what is my purpose? I need something for me now. And so that's where it all started. And so I was learning and working. I can read maps, I still struggle with maps, and it was all just like, and people were saying like, are you sure? It's a hard one to start with.
It really is.
Why don't you do something simple like coast to coast, and why don't you just do and I was like, and the more people said that, the more I wanted to do it, because people used to say, well, why do you want to be a plumber? Why do you want to do this? So when someone says, why do you want to do something? I want to do it.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
So we started talking about, and then it was COVID, and then it came to an abrupt ending.
It was horrible, wasn't it?
It
COVID?
was horrible.
Yeah,
so
for everybody. Yeah.
It was horrible. So we didn't do much then. We talked, but we didn't do much.
I didn't realise the project was this long in the making.
Yeah. And then it was like, oh, okay, well, that was there, and that's another one. That's not going to happen. Then Fritz contacted me again and said, are you still doing it? I was saying yes, okay. And I did a bit of training. You have to bear in mind, during the COVID time, they were telling people with underlying health issues like myself, I'm asthmatic, I'm diabetic, to stay indoors. Asian people, black people, it's affecting them more. So I wasn't going out a lot. I was walking around the garden a lot. That was my training. And then we had that hour slot where we could go out.
Yeah.
So, and that's when I started training. Then gradually I was building up top. So my training wasn't as I wanted it. But when we could, I started training a lot more.
With those restrictions that you had, do you think that helped you build your mental resilience for the walk?
I think so. I hope so, because I did a lot of research and spoke to people about who knew the Pennine Way or certain sections of the Pennine Way. So I used that energy to look at that and think, well, what gear I need, and then Fritz talked to me about him working with Sprayway, and then I'll let you talk about this. How they
I was going to ask Frit about actually the filmmaking project and how much it's not the intrusion isn't the word, but it's very difficult trying to be sensitive to somebody's solo challenge and being there as a filmmaker and wanting to capture, a good story, but also the right footage. How did that work with the planning and then the actual realization of the film project?
I'm not a very big planner, so there is that.
It's often the best way, isn't it?
I've just realised that there's only so much you can plan for, and then inevitably, as the filmmaker, you are led by your protagonist, right? So it's their story that you're sharing. I will sort of tell a story. There was one time when I was walking with Fredi, and Fredi was walking by herself. So for most of the day, she had a friend with her who would walk with her, share her adventure, read some maps with her. There's a few days where Fredi did it by herself, and I was filming Fredi, and at one point I knew we were maybe going off track a bit, but as the filmmaker you don't want to interrupt what's going on. You're just there to document. And it kind of got to a point where I thought, and I could see my partner, who was also filming, on the track that we should be on, and I was like, maybe we should just check the maps right now, just to make sure that we're not going too far off. And then we sort of did an about turn and then sort of went back. So there's definitely a balance between, wanting to make sure that you, making sure that you are making the film that you are going to be proud of, but also, more importantly than that the person you're making the film about is going to be proud of it too.
There are long days, aren't they? Sometimes long days. And how did you manage with the camera in your face sometimes? It's quite tricky, isn't it?
It was tricky at times, but I very quickly, because I'm the sort of person who shies away from camera, I managed to ignore Fritz very well and just carried on. I just managed that sort of like, okay, just do your walk and enjoy what's around and just enjoy it. And I had friends with me at some of the walks, and at times I was in my own thoughts. And this film is dedicated to my brother, because 2 days before the end, well, 1 day before the end, I got a phone call from home to say my brother was seriously ill, to the point that I needed to go back home and say my goodbyes to him.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So that was very difficult, because in my head, I'm not far, it's only 1 more day, I'm going to finish, there's going to be people. But I just thought, no, the Pennine Way is not going anywhere. I need to say goodbye to my brother. And it was like he held on for me. He asked to see me.
Oh.
Yeah, and he died in my arms. And I would have never got that time again. And that was very important. And the film is called The Pennine Way, step by step, side by side. And for me, it was getting back to it. It was step by step. It was at my pace, because people said, you got to get back on it, Fredi. You got. And I wasn't ready mentally. I was still grieving. And side by side is the amount of friends and family who were by my side during those 8 months when I took a gap. And then they all wanted to join me, and it became their adventure as well. And that was something quite beautiful. So
it really was a cathartic journey for you, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It showed love, commitment, difficult. I found the walk difficult. People say the Pennine Way is a hard walk. It really is a hard walk. There's no easy way, shortcuts. it's hard, but beautiful at the same time.
And as a storyteller, Frit, do you think that came out in the story? Were you happy with the result, with the honest portrayal of that catharsis that Fredi was articulating? Do you think are you happy with the outcomes, really? I know it's a difficult question to ask the creator in a way, but
yeah, I feel a little bit like you're asking the chef, like, does it taste
yes,
good?
Exactly.
And you're like, well, of course it tastes good.
Yeah, but you're never. I don't know how much of a perfectionist you are, but you're never 100%.
Yeah, I fight a lot of perfectionist tendencies for sure. I mean, we've just watched the film for the first time as part of the Run and Hike Red Collection.
Yeah.
So being able to see it on the big screen was such a lovely experience to be able to do that together, to be able to do that with some of the friends that Fredi hiked with too, who also have made their way to Kendal just to watch the film.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's been, and being able to sort of see it in a different space to my office on a computer screen has definitely given me a new perspective of the film in terms of just being able to have some time to reflect and watch it again with slightly new eyes. And this is the period of time, I think, when I would watch a film and start to pick out if there's any things that I'm not happy with. And actually, having watched it through today, I'm maybe a bit surprised, but mostly I think I'm quite proud of myself for sort of how it's come out. Yeah, I think originally I went into this film thinking I'd just make this sort of happy-go-lucky, quite jolly film about, a really vivacious woman who wants to tackle the Pennine Way, having had zero hiking experience and can't read maps. And then we ended up having to obviously make a film that encompassed a lot of grief into the film, and being able to share that story sensitively and authentically in a way that Fredi is happy with. I'm really happy with the way that the film has come out, for sure. Yeah.
Fredi, you must be really proud of the result, are you?
I am. I have to say, Frit's got it so right with including the friends who came and what she captured, because I could see that they were enjoying it as well. For me, yes, it was my adventure. I wanted to do it, but it became other people's adventure. And then people have been sending me messages on Instagram saying, is this just going to be at Kendal? I'm coming down, but is it going to be here? And if it reaches people who otherwise it wouldn't reach, well, I think Fritz has done his job. I've done my job, and I want more people to experience the outdoors.
He has done his job, I think, amazingly well. And I think at Kendal, one of the things that we've really been trying to work on over the years is to open up the outdoors to people who wouldn't normally have engaged with it. The perception of the outdoor world hasn't always been great. Mm-hmm. It's been sort of people like me, middle-aged white guys. And I think, we're seeing changes. And I think thanks to yourselves for making these amazing films, it's opening other eyes. And I think that's so important. Hopefully you agree and you feel it's like a trusted, safe space to tell these stories. Is that a fair comment?
Yep, I would say that's fair. Would you say that? I would say that's fair.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. Yeah,
so,
for sure.
I've got to finish with, what's next? I mean, such a cliched question, but I am really intrigued because, you don't just do the Pennine Way and say, right, okay, I'm going to put my feet up. Is there anything in the offing, dare I ask? Maybe another film? Or
I don't know about another film. That's up to Fritz.
Yeah.
But for me, having started, like, where am I going? My mother's died. I was one of her main carers. Where am I going to go? What am I doing? 0-hour contract job, COVID, and then doing the Pennine Way, and then losing my brother. Water was very significant because we scatter our loved ones in water. I don't know, I just find great peace. I live in the middle of landlocked England, in Nottingham.
Nottingham.
In
Nottingham. I thought
Nottingham.
there was a Nottingham accent there. Yeah.
So landlocked, Nottingham, and water, and I find it so soothing.
Yeah.
When my brother's and my mother's ashes were scattered in water, and for me, there's something there, and I don't know. I went to Ireland in the end of the summer, to Antrim, and I just love the water. There's something, I find it peaceful and calming. So there's something around there.
Maybe a coastal walk then.
Something like that.
I think you have to follow that gut feeling, don't you, sometimes, and see what's happening.
Yeah.
And are there any other projects, Frit, in the offing for you?
So I'm sort of taking my foot off the pedal a little bit with films at the moment, just to, I guess, create a bit of space for some creativity to sort of grow, and also to get a bit of reflection time. I don't do that at all. I tend to jump from project to project, and I thought I would give this reflection thing a go, and just have a bit of time to get some perspective on the films that I have made, be able to have time to share these films. So obviously, like Fredi's film has basically today has been sort of a premiere for it. We've not screened it anywhere else before.
Amazing.
And so being able to dedicate time towards doing more screenings up and down the country, particularly in Fredi's hometown of Nottingham, and just giving these films sort of space to really reach the people that I hope that they will reach, and then see what inspiration sparks after that.
Brilliant. Well, long may it continue, and long may the adventures continue for you. Thanks so much for coming and sharing your story.
Thank you.
Thanks from all of us at Kendal, and it's been an honour chatting to you both. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Steve.
Freddie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Frit. Thank you.
Yeah,